Hello there, my name is Lavin Jai and this is News Review. Thank you for being there. Coming up on the show today, there will be no newspapers today. We'll just go straight into some of the headlines making our news today, as well as my big guest today, who is Dr. Mamadou Lamin Taro, the registrar of the University of the Gambia. He will be speaking to me there. There was a huge strike at the university last week that nearly caused a delay in students sitting to their exams, but also bringing uncertainty to the university there. So Dr. Mamadou Lamin Taro, he's the registrar of the University of the Gambia, and his name has featured prominently in this whole entire saga. So he will be speaking to me to clarify some of the claims that have been made against him, as well as the UTG. But first, we will go to our stories there. The UDP officials, at least 5 of them, including Ibrahim Madiba, were this past Saturday attacked in Kanilai. But the APRC is dismissing any claims, really, that the party sanctioned this act. But the party has also went on to say that the Kanilai is as safe as any community in the country. More in this report. The attack on the UDP officials took place Saturday morning. A video that soon emerged online showed UDP's Ibrahim Madiba being slapped at the back of his head as he flees to safety. UDP leader Usainu Dabo was first to announce the unfortunate incident as he held a press conference at around the same time of the incident. He had said Diba's hand was broken from the attack.
Today, as I sat here waiting for this conference to start, I received report from the UDP election and registration monitoring team, who are currently in the Furnace. Yesterday, the team spent the night in Buyam and enjoyed the hospitality of the people of Kansala through their brothers and sisters in Buyam. This morning, they proceeded to Kanilai, where a registration center is, to monitor. In the first place, when the youths of Kanilai saw their vehicles coming, started barricading the road, that no one will get into Kanilai to monitor the registration in that country, at that center. In fact, when our team tried to explain to them that they've done this in other places, and Kanilai is part of the Gambia, and we have to go to Kanilai. It's part of the Gambia. The IEC opened a registration center in Kanilai. So, to monitor the registration in that place certainly cannot be denied. And with that, they just fell on them, gave them thorough beating. And when they ran to get into their vehicles, one of them picked up big stool, threw it on the screen of our vehicle, the UDP 2021. Threw it, got the policeman's mask, and the stone, it's a very big stone, and it landed on the arm of Ibrahim Madiba and got it fractured. Currently, they are the police.
But Diba himself spoke later as the entire issue unraveled.
Whoa. So presently I'm at Buyam Hospital. I got assaulted by the people of Kanilai. They deny us entry, beat us, assault. But it's all part of life, you understand. We are doing this for our country, and we will not relent. We'll continue working for our country. and make sure we salvage Gambia from this kind of situation. So it's part of life. I accept it with good faith. Maybe very soon you will see the video from Kanilai hitting me hard, and this big stone next to my glass, boom, landed to my arm. I'm with pain, but it's all part of life. I accept it with good faith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of us for our good job. And thank you very much for the job well done. Appreciate it.
The Kanilai attack on UDP officials triggered claims, including claims it was done by APRC supporters. But top party chieftain Musa Amul Nyasi has dismissed such claims.
People will automatically attribute it to APRC supporters and conclude. And because it happened in Kanilai, and we all know that Kanilai is the birthplace of the party. Kanilai, I can say, is the headquarters of the APRC. And one can conclude to say is a community where APRC have 100% support. So I believe this is why people are attributing it to APRC supporters. But the intent was not to come as APRC and then, attack the UDP team that was on the voter monitoring exercise.
APRC remains the party of former President Yahya Jammeh. In fact, he founded it. But according to Nyasi, APRC did not sanction the attack and that the party is condemning the attack.
It's regrettable and we are not in support of it. We totally condemn it because, like I said in all previous interviews, every political party have the right to monitor the voter registration exercise. And by extension, every political party have the right, when it is campaign period, to go to any community in this country, provided it is part of their campaign itinerary.
Since former President Yahya Jammeh was disgraced in 2016, uncertainty has always hovered over Kanilai. People who do not support the former president have found it unsafe to travel to the village. But Amul says Kanilai is as safe as any community in the country.
Kanilai is as safe as any community in this country. And I can tell you, it's 100% guaranteed that be it a journalist or a political party, you are 100% safe to enter into Kanilai. Kanilai being the birthplace of the former president and the supreme leader of the party has nothing to do with insecurity. The community of Kanilai are law-abiding. The community of Kanilai, they respect the rules, the laws of the land, and the community of Kanilai are advocates for peace and tranquility in this country. So I want to give that assurance that let people not conclude because of what occurred on Saturday to see Kanilai as insecure or not safe for journalists or political parties or political parties. It is completely different from the realities on the ground.
Police have since opened an investigation into the incident, but they are yet to issue any statement of someone getting arrested over the attack. And now, police have confirmed arresting a 25-year-old man, Hamza Jeng, over the alleged rape of an 11-year-old boy. The boy, the 11-year-old, the minor, was allegedly raped in May, an act of, the news that has shocked the entire nation there. Police confirmed to us that the man was arrested over the weekend. But police were helped by somebody, a man who was able to identify the man and then contacted the police, and then that was how the man was arrested. So more in this report there by Mudiwa Ngam.
On May 27th, 2021, the Fatu Network reported on the story of an 11-year-old boy who was allegedly brutally raped on the 23rd of the same month. Fast forward to about a month later, the alleged rapist has been identified, arrested, and is currently under police custody. One Musa Sawane, a close family relative who was actively helping the police with their investigation, was interviewed at the network studios, and when asked to relay everything he knows so far about the arrest, this is what he had to say.
xale bu tuuti judoogut lekkut naanu lu mel ni dal ko si dundaam waxatuma leneen sa waaye traumatise boobu noonu war a nekk si moom ba mag te yoo xam nga si dëkka buñ dëkka naka la demee waaye barki démba maa ngi woon kër around 2:30 moom xale bi si boppam dawal cycle rush ñëw fekk ma ne ma oncle Pa Moussa ma ne ko naam mu ne ma suma yaay mu ne nga jël taxi nga dem uyu ko léegi nii ma ne ko mu ne ma waaw so balaa ma jël taxi ma gestu gis suma benn néegu rek ma ne ko ma ne duma baalal nga yóbbu ma somewhere around layout fii mu ne ma waaye dama war a génn suma wife ma ne ko please defal ma favor bu dafa am lu xew so noonu la ma yóbbu bi ñu demee maa ngi fekk yaay ma ngi taxaw si junction bi ak ay xale yu góor yu bari waaye bi ma àggee maa ngi fekk yaay ji mu ngee lox boot yaa ngee taf mu ne ma Pa Moussa ma ne ko naa mu ne ma gestul bu ma gestoo mu ne ma gis nga fu xale yi di football yi ne le ma ne ko waaw mu ne ma gis nga waa jëli tëddam di play xale yi ma ne ko waaw mu ne ma suma doom bi mu ne kii moo ko def lu ñaaw loolu jëf ju ñaaw jooju ma ne ko mu ne ma waaw man si saa si ma jaxasoo mu ne ma fi mu nekk nii jëlil police yi wala nga seet naka la ñoo def rek ñu yóbbu ko because xale bi ñëw na daf ma fekk si biir kër gi rek duga si ne ko yaa dama tiit can you imagine 11 years mu ne ko yaa tiit naa mu ne ko lu xew bëgg ko wax la mu ne ko ku ma def loolu noonu gis naa ko yaa ku ma def loolu gis naa ko koolal oncle Pa Moussa koolal police yi yaa koolal oncle Pa Moussa mu kool police yi yaay ji dafa bàyyi toogaam bi rek daw génna so bi ma yaay ji waxee loolu ma ne ko mu ne ma waaw waaye si moment boobu ma seen ko waaye ma xam ne man kenn la ak ki ma àndal so noonu la roché waat dem suma koñ suma benn néebo ma ne ko kaay dama bëgg nga assist ma dafa am lu ma bëgga noonu la ñëwee waaye bi maa ñëwaat ma fekk xale bi foofu mu ne ma kële la ki sol tibéy bu am yellow pattern bi ma ne ko mu ne ma waaw ma ne ko baax na noonu lañ demee ma suma néebo bi ñu fekk ko mu ngi play si biir xale yi laa ko fekk mu ngi play waat moom rek a fa nekk mag ay xale yi mbojo rek a fa nekk waaye moom rek moo fay adult mag so ma fekk ko play na ba pare sax tëdda si suuf téel mobile am bi teg ko ma ne ko waa ji na nga def mu ne ma jaama rek ma ne ko dañ la soxla mu ne ma fan ma ne ko police mu ne ma pour lan ma ne ko suñ àggee di nga xam lu xew noonu la jógee ak tiit nag mu jóg rek taxaw bugg a faafaate mobile am bi ma ne ko jëlal sa mobile bi mu jël mobile bi noonu lañ jógee escort ko ba si police bi bu ñu wàccee ma dem dugga si CID yi ma ne leen dama fi indi woon an accused person ki nga xamante ne xale bi nga xamante ne dañ ko réeboon ay jamono si gannaaw fi mu nekk nii moom si boppam ñëw na wax na ne gis na ki ko réeb man maa ko indi fii maa ko jàppa indi ko fii si police bi.
We then asked how sure they are that the boy did not identify the wrong person, and he shot right back with,
xale bi dafa smart xale bu smart la because soo bàyyi xel def nañ several arrest yóbbu leen si police station bi te su ñëwee su identify daf dee wax ne du kii ma ne bu si mujjee sax yaay ji mu ngi caalit ma ne ko Alamin xam na li moo def bés bu gisee waa ji bés bu mu fi ñëwee su gisee waa ji dina xam ne kii la because mu ngi nekk xale bu conscious ba pare su dul moom sax gis nga xale bu ndaw bu tuuti nga dëkkaa moom si kër di ko toroxal su magee sax du koy fàtte waxuma la ku dem ba am age bi ba pare nga war ko def lu ñaaw lii mu fàtte la déedéet man dama yaakaar ne xale bi comme point out ne moom moo ko def lii kooko ko def lii parce que nit ñi bari nañ si dëkk bi mu ngi romante ñu bari mu ngi gis ñu bari waaye su demee benn kii la rek kon soo bi lu mu weex am na lu si ñuul so noonu la mbir yi demee.
We also reached out to the father of the victim on a phone interview, and when asked to describe how he felt upon learning that the alleged culprit has been identified and arrested by the police, he said, "I feel happy that the perpetrator has been apprehended and is currently under police custody. Indeed, I am so happy. I just need justice for my boy." When asked if he has had the chance to face the alleged rapist, he responded that he has been out of town and returned home on a very prompt trip upon finding out that the alleged rapist has been arrested. He has not been able to face him just yet. Our final question to him was what he would say to the alleged rapist if he could face him, and his response to this was, "I would want him to know all the trauma he has put us through. The family has been through a very, very difficult trauma. We never thought that something like this will happen. I would have never imagined it, talk less of it happening to my own child. I am still going through a very difficult trauma. I want the law to take its course, to punish him so that he'll understand that he is a sick person that society neither wants or needs. The ordeal has been refreshed in my memory like it happened today, and I cannot forgive him, he concluded. We contacted Police PRO Superintendent Lamin Jai on the matter, and this is what he told us in a phone interview.
Very well. Like I said to, I think your editor called me on this same matter this morning. And so we've got a 25-year-old, he's a Senegalese national. He's the one who's been identified by the victim, and he is currently helping police in their investigation of this allegation against him.
Reporting for the Fatu Network's News Review, I am Mudiwangom.
Tough Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. Tough Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Free. Tough.
Thank you very much and welcome back. So now I'm joined by Dr. Mamadou Lamin Taro, the registrar of the University of the Gambia. We'll be talking about the now cancelled strike there by the Faculty and Staff Association of the UTG. Doctor, thank you for appearing on my show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai. As it is said in Latin, Audi altarem partem.
And what is that?
It means let the other side be heard as well.
Exactly. Okay, let's get into
having me.
And let's get into the issue then. This row with this staff. How? I mean, you are management. You are the registrar, one of the officials of the management of the UTG. How did it all begin? This issue of the staff not happy and as a result embarking upon a strike.
Thank you very much for asking that question. This is not the first time that the University Faculty and Staff Association has threatened to embark on, a sit-down strike. Now, this started way back in 2019, and they've been coming with quite a lot of demands. Some of those demands are frivolous. Others, yes, there is sense in what they're saying. But for this particular strike,
yes,
the university management was not written to. There was no formal warning. The university management was not written to. Instead, they wrote to the president of the student union and copied the vice chancellor. In administration, when you copy somebody, I mean, it was addressed to the president of the student union. Is the president of the student union the vice chancellor or the chief executive of the university? Now, having said that, for a strike action, in fact, to be declared,
yes,
there are certain protocols to be followed.
Yes.
There should have been some formal warning, bargaining, that kind of thing. And if there is a deadlock, then you proceed on industrial action. But the question now is the Faculty and Staff Association currently, as it is it even a legitimate association? Why am I saying this?
Why are you saying this?
I'm saying this because, yes, it is a requirement in the Constitution for associations to be established. It is also provided in the Tertiary and Higher Education Act, Section 62, subsection 1 and 2, for staff associations to be established.
Yes.
Subject to 1, approval of the governing board. 2, having a constitution. And 3, having a constitution that complies with the statutes of the institution. Now, the faculties, the University Faculty and Staff Association.
Are you saying it is an illegal?
Wait, I'm coming.
Go ahead.
They amended the constitution. When Dr. Jiba, the current president, when his term expired, the constitution was amended. It was amended, and here is the copy. You can even see is the amended constitution 2021.
Yes.
Okay? You can see a amended constitution, January 2021.
Yes.
I now wrote to him, drawing his attention to the fact that he has violated, you know, the Tertiary and Higher Education Act, because if the Constitution is amended, it has to be presented to the Governing Council for consideration and approval. Up till today, he did not reply to that letter, and the Governing Council did not approve this amended Constitution.
But why is that the case, though? The issue of the Governing Council, I mean, approving something that has to do with a trade union, if you like.
No, this is not a trade union.
If you like.
This is not a trade union. I'm telling you,
so what is
we are governed by an act called the Tertiary and Higher Education Act 2016.
Yes.
Section 62, subsection 1 and 2, you know, stipulates that for a staff association to be established, it must be approved by the governing board.
That is what the act says.
That is what the law says, the laws of the land, that it must be approved. And two, the association must have a constitution, and that constitution must comply with the statutes of the institution.
So that is not done in the
that case is not done in the case of this amended constitution.
So does that make the association illegal?
Well,
and it should not exist? Is that what you are saying?
What I'm saying is it is not legitimate.
And so it should not exist?
Well, yes.
That's what
I'm saying.
So now, where do you put the issue of the action, the industrial action? But not just that, all the complaints, all the demand that the staff want.
Okay.
Where do you put that?
Now, some of the demands are genuine. There are, you see, the issue of funding. We all know that resources are scarce. But nevertheless, our line ministry has been doing very well in trying to address some of our financial issues. They have been paying some of the outstanding areas. And in fact, just recently, they've paid 25 million, you know, awaiting the National Assembly to ratify the SAP, they call it. Yes. And because another 50 million will be injected very soon. So there has been progress towards that direction. Now, if you look at the other demands, for example, election of deans. Now, deans are the people that, you know, govern the different schools.
Yes.
There has been elections of deans since 2016. The last election was held in July 2020. And it was him, the president of the Staff Association, who contested. In fact, he went unopposed as head of department at the School of Business and Public Admin. This was just in July 2020. Now, the problem is there is an eligibility criteria to become a dean. The regulations clearly stipulated that for one to become a dean, one must be a full professor. In the absence of a professor, then an associate professor can act. If not, then a senior lecturer, lecturer one, or whatever is available. Now, there has been a dearth of professors in the university. And that is why most of the deans, you go to School of Education, the dean is acting.
Yes.
You go to journalism, the dean is acting. Faculty of Law, the dean is acting. Simply because they don't have full professors. And the law says for one to be a substantive dean, one must be a full professor. Now, that is not an issue. Nobody has said, you know, one would not be appointed as a dean. That is not an issue to warrant anybody to go on a strike. Now what they are even now saying with these new resolutions is the conditions of services. A dean should be a senior lecturer. Now they have the eligibility criteria has been lowered. The bar has been lowered. Okay, for people now to contest as deans who are senior lecturers.
Even when they are just senior lecturers.
Yes.
But now let's talk about, we will come to all of that, but let's talk about, because first things first, one of their key demands has to do with the position of the vice chancellor. Here is a vice chancellor whose contract is expiring in the next few months. But the announcement, the way and manner in which you are going about it, the faculty and staff association has a problem with that. The announcement, this position should be advertised. And the claim from their side is that you have identified someone that you want to give this position to. But not just that, the announcement, something that you should announce for what, 12 months? You just recently started announcing that, and you know very well, full well, that the current Vice Chancellor term ends in September.
Thank you very much. Now, first of all, let's talk about the rumor that somebody has been anointed to succeed the incumbent Vice Chancellor. That is not the case. That is not the case. What the Ministry of Higher Education did, I mean, they have all rights to source, to look for other avenues to get a Vice Chancellor on technical assistance. Okay? Now, the first UTG Vice Chancellor was funded by the Commonwealth Fund for Technical Cooperation.
Yes.
I think that was it. Not that somebody was, appointed. There is nobody appointed so far as I know. I'm the secretary to the Governing Council. If such a thing has happened, I would have known. Nobody has been appointed as Vice Chancellor. Now, the Section 435 of the Conditions of Service says, okay, it did not say you advertise the position for 12 months. Okay, that
what
is
did it say?
12, before the expiry of the tenure of the Vice Chancellor. That is what it says. Before the expiry, 12 months before the expiry. Now, the Vice Chancellor was appointed in 2016, 1st October 2016, for a period of 5 years. All right? He knew that by September 30th, his term will expire. I mean, that's what is in the contract. Now, the council did not hear from him. January 1st, nothing. February, they did not hear from him. So in March, they now wrote to him to find out whether he is interested to continue or he wants to leave. And he now wrote back to say that he wants his tenure to be extended for a period of 18 months. And council convened an emergency meeting, and the outcome was no. The contract will not be extended. That was the ignition that sparked the crisis.
So the issue of who gets this job once, Anjum leaves, but in the case of Anjum, you have people from that side, the side of the association, who say Anjum is just there as the Vice Chancellor, but here is a man who doesn't even get to make any decision. Someone who doesn't, have any authority or any power over the university. That is a very serious claim.
No, the university is governed by rules and regulations. The powers vested in the Vice Chancellor are well and clearly stipulated. So to say that someone somewhere is micromanaging the Vice Chancellor, that is baseless. I don't think so. He is the Chief Executive and Chief Academic Officer of the university. And he is the secretary to he is the chairman of the University Senate, yes, which is the highest academic authority. So I wonder who is that person who is micromanaging him, usurping his authority. I'm not aware of that. I know that he is the Chief Executive and Chief Academic Officer of the University of the Gambia.
So in terms of who gets this job then, because what the staff want is for you to advertise this position for competent Gambians to be able to apply. Is this what you really want? Is this what you, because you are saying there is nothing wrong with the government, the Ministry of Higher Education going out there to scavenge, really, to search for people who can come on technical assistance. But in terms of competent Gambians, because only part of the Faculty and Staff Association, the belief is that there are people in this country who can really be Vice Chancellor.
Okay. You see, in academia, there is what we call academic citizenship. There is not, the university is not a civil service. There is what we call academic citizenship. What we look for are people who have the right credentials,
yes,
people who have the pedigree, yes, people who have the competence, you understand? People who have an excellent academic track record.
Yes.
These are the people that are normally appointed as Vice Chancellor. Look at Rwanda. University of Kigali, they had a British who is a Vice Chancellor. You go to some American universities, you find Australians, British, who are, presidents, as they call them over there. Okay? So it's not stipulated, black and white, that the Vice Chancellor of the University of the Gambia must be a Gambian. Now, going back to memory lane, the first Vice Chancellor came from Nigeria, late Professor Denol Ekong. When Ekong left, it was Professor Andreas Steigen, a Norwegian.
Yes.
Now, when Steigen left, Professor Muhammadu Ka, the first indigenous Gambian. Now, when he also left in 2015, there was an acting Vice Chancellor, during that period, one late Professor Halil, and then Anjum came 1st of October 2016. So you can see, from 1999 to date, UTG had 3 foreign Vice Chancellors. The only indigenous Vice Chancellor was Professor Muhammadu Ka. So that is to say that it is not based on nationality, that the person must be a Gambian. That is not in our statutes. Now, currently, within the university, because if you look at the eligibility criteria, they are saying that for one to be eligible, one must have served as a professor for a period not less than 10 years. How many of our professors there have served for a period of 10 years? There is none. That's the reality. There is none on the ground. Perhaps in the next 5 years, we'll have a large pool of eligible Gambian professors, to contest, for this coveted position of Vice Chancellor. But as it is now, with the eligibility criteria, there is none.
Now,
in the Gambia, perhaps there are others in the diaspora.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about this strike. This strike began last week, and then as soon as, it kicked off, it was cancelled after a marathon 7 hours or so meeting involving management. You capitulated in terms of some of their demands. I understand the chairman of the Joint Select Committee, National Assembly Select Committee on Education, the Secretary General, we are all there.
Yes.
In terms of some of their demands, they want the dissolution first of the Joint Select Committee, for the Vice Chancellor, the role of the Vice Chancellor. They want that. They want their areas. This is about 150 million. They want this to be addressed. But other issues that are happening are there. In terms of some of you budging, you shifting position to say some of these things that they are demanding. You said some of their demands are frivolous. But here you are conceding, here you are capitulating to their demands. So one can clearly say that they have a genuine fight that they are fighting.
You see, most of those demands listed, those are purely administrative. In fact, during the negotiation, they came with 20, whereas at the Congress, and what was disseminated everywhere in the media, was only 10. But they came with 20. And we said, no, where are all these 20 demands coming from? I thought it was only 10. Now you are coming with 20. But nevertheless, let's proceed in the interest of the students, because they are linking the strike with the exams.
Yes.
We have 6,989 students. 6,989 students who are yearning, to sit their exams. And this strike is linked to the exams. If you don't do this, there will be no exams. Now, if there is no resolution to this, what's going to happen? The students will also agitate. And you can imagine the consequences. So, in fact, there were a lot of compromises here and there. You said, advertise this for 12 months. We said, okay, no. Now that there will be a substantive council, when that council comes, the advertisement will proceed for another 3 weeks. Okay, for another 3 weeks, and then, more people will apply. There were, trade-offs here and there,
yes,
just to reach an amicable settlement. However, we as a management, we are saying that government the government, they own the university. Government should constitute an independent fact-finding investigative panel to probe into all these allegations and submit recommendations for immediate implementation. This is what we have said.
But why government? Why do you choose government?
No,
how can government go on an independent investigation?
No.
How is that possible?
Now, the university...
Because the university is part of government, so
Yes,
how
that's
can
what-
government investigate itself? That doesn't make any sense.
No, no.
Yes.
You see, a similar case happened in Nigeria in 1995 at Ahmadu Bello University.
Yeah.
This sort of things, incessant strike actions, all the time disruption of the academic calendar. It was during the era of Sani Abacha. He just asked the vice chancellor to step aside. And he now brought what is called a sole administrator with overriding powers. Clean all the mess so that the incoming vice chancellor will have a soft landing.
Yes.
Okay? And will not, be confronted with all these issues here and there. Now, what we are saying is, yes, the university is a government institution. I mean, government can look for, there are credible Gambians all over the place. Okay? Constitute that panel, draw the membership composition from different bodies, be it from the National Human Rights Commission, be it from the Office of the Ombudsman, be it from PMO, and there are a lot of other credible institutions. Let them come and probe into all these allegations. Otherwise, this thing will continue. Now, we gave in to allow students to write the exams. The next exam, that is the first term exam, falls due in December. This year. Elections, December this year. Now, what is the guarantee? That this same staff association will not wait until November and declare another strike.
But that would have, by that time, you would not have still...
Do you know when the last strike, do you know when the last threat was issued? It was in January 2021.
But the staff said you threatened them first. That is what they said. They said you threatened them first. And then they retaliated by saying they are going to want to sit down strike.
No.
So you didn't threaten them?
No, nobody. I'm telling you that there was no prior consultation with the management on this issue. That do this, if you don't do this, we will go on an industrial action. There was no such consultation. I'm not aware of it, to be very frank with you.
And you are the registrar?
And I'm the registrar. I am not aware. All I saw was a letter they sent to the student union president informing him that they had held a congress and by Thursday, if their demands are not met, they will embark on a strike action. Student union president. That was what happened. It was not addressed to management. It was not addressed to the chairman of council. Neither was it addressed to the Minister of Higher Education.
Now, your passing has been prominent, has featured prominently in this whole thing.
Yes.
You are the registrar.
Yes.
But not just that. In terms of positions at the UTG, the staff association say, you have people who are being paid more than their immediate supervisors, but not just that. You have people who are, double responsibilities, holding double responsibilities and getting paid for these both responsibilities, including yourself.
Thank you very much.
Is that what is happening?
Thank you very much for that question. Let me clarify that. You see, it is not uncommon in institutions for people to be paid salary personal to the holder. This happens in cases where you have staff, who have special skills, and you want to retain them at all costs. Now, this has happened in the past when we hired a director of finance. Okay, this has happened in the past. Okay, so it happens all over the place.
Yes.
It's not uncommon to get that kind of thing. There are people also, including myself.
Yes.
I was overseeing the directorate of HR. All right, and it is a policy for people who have that kind of coordinating role to be given a responsibility allowance. That is common.
But why does it have to be you to be holding your registrar role, but also the role of HR?
Thank you very much. You see, the University of the Gambia, when it was established, it was the registrar who was the chief administrative officer responsible to the vice chancellor. Chief administrative officer responsible to the vice chancellor. HR, which is personnel matters, transcript, student affairs, records and transcripts, all these units are under the registry. That was the status quo from 1999 up to 2010. Now, after 2010, when Professor Kwa assumed office, he now created new directorates, including Directorate of HR, Directorate of Admissions, and so on and so forth. Now, when he left in 2015, the Ministry of Higher Education, they now commissioned a consultancy in the person of Professor Victor Owutu from University of Lagos. He conducted this consultancy report I'm holding here, called Report of the Review of the University of the Gambia, Main Functions, Structure, and Legal Instruments to ensure that they comply with international standards. One of the recommendations was the HR, the admissions, all should be subsumed under the registrar's office. That is here. It is in this recommendation. Now, as per best practice, this recommendation went to the Senate. It was approved. It did not only stop at that, it went to the Governing Council and it was ratified. So it is as a result of the ratification of the Governing Council that I'm holding that position. It's not as if I usurped somebody's position. No.
Or you want that money?
No. It is as a result of a recommendation, consultancy report, which was endorsed by the University Senate and the Governing Council, which is the highest policy-making body of the university, that these recommendations are in place and therefore it should happen. That was how I got it. You see? So now, obviously, you know that change.
Clearly see nothing.
No, change. You see, change. There is always resistance to change.
So, but why is it difficult for the university to find a HR director who is different from the registrar?
It's not a matter of the university. I'm telling you what happened. Ministry, we are aligned with University of the Gambia is under the Ministry of Higher Education.
Of course.
Now, in 2015, that was even before the current minister assumed. This was in 2015 when Dr. Senghor was Minister of Higher Education, that this consultancy was commissioned.
Yes.
I mean, and it was approved. Yes. Is it not proper to implement the recommendations? That was what happened. It's not as a result of somebody usurping another person's authority. No. This was directives issued by the Governing Council for implementation. So now, they are now saying that I should completely hand over the functions of HR to the directorate.
Yes.
Good. You know what I did? In fact, because I know that these things are very sensitive. Since December last year, since December 2020, I wrote a formal handing over to the director of HR and spelled out, all the responsibilities. I don't interfere in what they do. All what I do is to sign appointment letters, dismissal letters, and so on and so forth. That's all what I do. But the technical, the day-to-day running of the HR directorate is in the hands of the director of HR, not the registrar. She has a full complement of staff. All that I do, when they draft letters, people are appointed, people are dismissed, or whatever the case may be, then I sign those letters. That's the only thing. But I have handed over that role, since December 2020.
Now, also, there is also one thing that is being claimed. that is being claimed that it's happening at the UDG has to do with people pursuing their doctorates at the UTG while they are working full-time.
Thank you.
Is this happening at the UTG?
It's not. This is happening all over the world.
But does that make sense to you?
I'm coming. I'm coming. Now, in 2012, the University of the Gambia signed a memorandum of understanding with Obafemi Awolowo University, formerly known as University of Ife. Let me just read this particular clause.
Go ahead.
Enrolling all UTG senior staff with a master's degree in appropriate PhD programs at OAU. They will all remain at UTG campus with periodic residency at OAU and their supervisors. This is the MOU. As Providence would have it, the Nigerian government now sent technical assistance to the Gambia. Yes. Most of those lecturers were in the public administration. They came from the Faculty of Administration from Ife to the University of the Gambia. That was how it happened. Now, nearly over 50 to 60% of our staff, you know, especially those the admin kidder, and even some of the academic staff, they do their master's degree. You are given 10 to 12 hours, you know, time off every week to focus on your academics. That is what happens. I can tell you.
Is that enough for someone that is
no,
pursuing?
The PhD is a coursework and a research. Now, most of the time what happens, in my case, I hold 2 master's degrees. 2.
Yes.
One in public administration, the other one in public policy,
yes,
in higher education management, and a bachelor's degree, BSc honors, second class upper division. They will look at your transcript, courses that you have covered at your undergraduate and the master's level, and waive them. Because the coursework, if somebody has done introduction to public administration at master's level, do you still need to do public administration, introduction to public administration at PhD level as coursework? No. These things, they waive it. There are core courses like research methodology, qualitative and quantitative research. Those ones are core. They are compulsory. You must do them. So you end up doing maybe 1 or 2 courses, okay, for the whole year. For the whole year, you depending on your transcript, for example. Let's say somebody who yes, studied, let's say, English language masters. Really, that person doesn't have a background. Is not well grounded in public admin.
Yes.
That type of a person really
yes,
will do all the prescribed coursework. Okay? Just like some of our staff that went to Ife. You have 2 of them who went there to do PhD in history. One of them even is the vice president of the staff association. They waive all the coursework for them. They just did the research. This is at your own pace. You understand? And it depends on your diligence and your determination. You know, we were 9 in number, but only 5 sailed through. Only 5 out of the 9. So it depends on the individual and your background. Imagine somebody who has double masters in one in public administration, one in that's the core in public admin. The rest, with my experience, it was tough. Yes, I agree. PhD is very tough. It's very tough. I know.
But so, you are saying someone can work full time, but also be pursuing his doctorate.
That is, yes. You are given 12 hours time off every week. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, you are given 12 hours time off every. That is especially for those who are doing what you call it again, coursework. When you're doing the coursework, because you have to attend lectures. But when it comes to the research, you are on your own. Okay? I had to travel throughout the length and breadth of the country to do my research, to gather my data, and so on and so forth. I had to travel out of the country, and so that is how it works. It's common all over the place. It's not only people doing PhD, people doing bachelor's degree, people doing master's degree, and they are all full-time staff. You can count over 100 at UTG who went through that process.
And now, let's also talk about something that is also very important. You said you have about 7,000 students at the UTG at the moment.
Yes.
But, I mean, the issue of quality also is something that one needs to also look at, pay attention to. Because, I mean, look, if you have officials of the UTG saying the UTG is as bad as somebody who is at primary school, then that is a serious indictment. That is a serious indictment in terms of the quality.
That is not coming from the management.
Yes.
This is coming from an aggrieved person. I can tell you that our students are very good. They have traveled out of this country and they have won laurels. Some of them have gone to Oxford. Others have gone to Australia, New Zealand, and other places. If what was taught here was substandard, they would not have, attained that feat. So when people are free to say whatever they want.
But these are not in large numbers. These are maybe few and far between. Not necessarily in large numbers.
You see, this is subjective. It depends on who you see. To say that the students are not of good quality, I mean, that is a very serious statement. I mean, these are students who have fulfilled the eligibility criteria for enrollment. And that is it. We know, yes, there are quite a lot of challenges here and there, but nevertheless,
you are saying they are good.
They are good. They are good. They are good.
Because myself, I have come upon a
they
lot of
good.
claims.
They are good.
I mean, people
Mr.
graduate
Jai.
from the UTG. When you put them in a job, they cannot do it. People say that all the time about the UTG.
Go to the civil service, go to the public service. 80 to 90% of the civil service now
are all graduates
from the UTG. Yes. Are you telling me that they are not good? I mean, I'm telling you, these are just statements made by people for reasons best known to them. Prior to the establishment of the university, there was a lot of resistance. Yes. Lot of resistance. People don't want this university to take off the ground. And those people are still around. They will say whatever thing they want to say to tarnish the image of the university. When the medical school started, 1999, they said we are going to train barefoot doctors. Today, is it barefoot doctors that we are training? Most of the first cohort, most of them are now consultants. People like Dr. Bite, Dr. Haidara at the eye clinic, they were the first. And they are extremely good. So people are free to say whatever they want. But one should not just take it lock, stock, and barrel. Okay?
So let's also talk about something. You have been at the university long enough to understand and know the problems of the university. You've been registrar for well over a decade now. I mean, in terms of the challenges, the problems that the university is facing, because if you have a whole university, I mean, and still you have all these challenges that it is grappling with. People say students would come to class and would not even have chairs to sit on. People say when there is time for exams, you go to, for example, NAUS and borrow their hall for you to be able to have students have their exams.
You see,
this is happening at the UTG?
You see, I must admit that the way and manner the university was established, it was based, in fact, I don't think there was much, planning, into the implementation. The marching orders that those in authority at the time, the marching orders given to them was share facilities with the existing tertiary institution. That was the marching order. GTTI, MDI, and Gambia College. That was it. And the only structure at the time was where you have the School of Journalism.
Yes.
That was the only structure.
Yes.
Okay, that was how it started. The Faculty of Law building, the Peace building. I mean, these were all built, out of internally generated revenue. Yeah. Okay? So, yes, there are challenges There are challenges in terms of space, okay? We must admit that. But nevertheless, we are doing our best. And that is more, you see, people have to be ingenious. When you are faced with challenges, you don't just fold your hands and say manna will fall from heaven. You have to explore other possibilities to find solutions. Going to Ndaus, renting the hall, is that a crime? It's just next door to the School of Business and Public Admin. Yeah, now, no, listen, there is an ongoing construction at Faraba Banta, which is still not completed. The construction started way back in 2010. Up till now, it has not, it's still not completed. So we are managing with the limited infrastructure at our disposal.
Yes, yes, yes. So that is what you are doing. But also, in terms of the staff, recently there was the introduction of the engineering program. The government took that from them. Saying
from
that
who?
According to the staff, they said the government scrapped that, saying the UTG doesn't need that now. Let them allow the GTTI to do that, because there is this plan afoot to transforming the GTTI into a technical university.
When it comes to public policy formulation within the realm of government or higher education, that falls under the purview of the Ministry
so
of Higher
that
Education.
question should be
yes,
yes,
you understand.
Yes.
Now,
but what is your take?
No, listen, if the government has decided, if government in its wisdom now decided to establish an engineering program elsewhere, they have secured the funding,
yes,
and then they've also got a kind of a franchise arrangement with what's the name of the university, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, to mentor this university, and then they will be awarding the degree until such a time that this new university they're talking about, is firm. That is the arrangement. That's government's prerogative. Okay, that's government's prerogative. Yes, we started an engineering program about 3 years ago, and yes, we were asked just to restrict ourselves to that cohort. But that's government. That's government. If government issued a directive, as public servants, we comply. Okay?
No, but now, because the staff is a precious stakeholder at the UTG, they are agreed.
Now, as I'm talking to you now,
yes,
that engineering faculty, we relied on technical assistance to run the program for now, okay? And we don't have even well-equipped laboratories. So we made arrangements with University Alioune Diop in Senegal,
yes,
where our students normally go for their practicals, okay? In order not to compromise quality.
Yes.
And sometimes, in fact, they even went to India also through, some kind of bilateral arrangement.
Yes.
So yes, they've got the real exposure, this cohort of engineers we are training. They've got the real exposure, to be very frank with you.
So now,
but the issue of whether UTG should run an engineering program in parallel with GTTI, I think that question, please, you should direct it to the ministry. Yes.
So now the issue of the staff, because the staff is very important. If the staff is aggrieved, if they are not happy with certain things at the university, management should always have a listening ear.
Of course.
So in terms of your relationship with your staff, because clearly you have a staff that really do not trust you, and you are the management, how do you feel about that? Do you think that is in terms of the interest of the university and the students? Do you think that is good? Because clearly you look pessimistic. You are saying maybe, who knows, by December they can come out with another strike again.
Yeah, but if you look at the track record, you see, this is the third time, and it has a kind of it has a track record. They will always wait. When exams are to be held, then they come with their demands. This is not the first time. So once bitten, twice shy. You've seen it. It has happened. This is the third time. But you wait until exams are the comma, and then you issue your demands. So once bitten, twice shy.
But what are you doing in terms of soothing their concerns? But also,
now that is what we do. That is what management is doing. Now you see, not all problems can be resolved at one go. There are some, you solve them in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. That is how you solve these problems, especially in a resource-scarce environment. If you ask for a salary of $5,000 per lecturer, that is practically impossible, for example.
Yes.
I mean, we can't afford that, okay? We can't afford that kind of salary for anybody. But at least we've done something, you know, to make staff a bit comfortable. And with time, incrementally, you know, things will improve. There is no reluctance. The Vice Chancellor has a listening ear. He has an open door policy. He is easily accessible. They know. Staff association, they hold fortnightly meetings with the management to trash out issues. But on this occasion, this thing never came up. That is quite baffling. We were out of the country. In fact, I've had the insinuation that we are traveling all over the place. Why are we traveling? It is not, those travels are at no cost to UTG. I'm saying it here. They are at
because the travel thing was also an issue.
I am at those travels were at no cost to UTG. You see, under the Faraba Banta campus development program, you have what is called the soft component, which has to do with training, it has to do with twinning, it has to do with curriculum development. Now, the IDB has a checklist. These are things you must pursue. You must do these things within the project framework. You must do twinning arrangements with selected universities within the OIC. And then we will fund it. That is it. That was it. So we went to universities in Nigeria, we went to universities in Senegal, and there were plans to also go to other universities elsewhere before this strike. You see, so it's not as a result of just wanting to travel. No, these is part of the project, and it's a requirement that you must fulfill. They have already set aside funds for that. So it's not like it's UTG funds that they are wasting all over the place. No way.
Because there is this also issue of, because we've run out of time, but the issue of corruption, the issue of transparency, because the staff association also wants full transparency in terms of the university's finances. They want that.
Let me the university is audited by external auditors every year. And as a public institution, the audit report is presented before deputies at the PACPEC for scrutiny. I mean, so it's in the public domain. There is in the public domain. Okay? Now, what goes to the National Assembly is in the public domain. So the issue, if there are corruption, now let them pinpoint where the corruption is. And that is why I'm saying government should go a step further and constitute an independent fact-finding panel to probe into all these allegations and then submit recommendations for implementation. They said he who calls for equity should come with clean hands. This is what we are saying. This is what we are saying. Let government do that now.
Do you have anything else to say? We've run out of time.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. It is always good to hear, you know, from the other side.
Exactly, it's because important. And I was always going to reach out to the other side because some of the claims
that is balanced journalism. I really appreciate the invitation, and that's why I honor it.
Thank you.
You know, so that you will also hear, you know, my side of the story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Momodu Lamin Taro.
Thank you.
Registrar, University of the Gambia. Thank you very much, sir. So that is my guest there, the registrar of the UTG there today. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the interview today. We'll be back tomorrow.